Nick, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Just happy to be here with you talking stocks, living the dream, as I say every day.
It's our first time on Full Live together, actually. Nick and I work together a lot offline. So, Nick is, our tech expert. I come from the healthcare side. So, we're going to try to balance out our interests here and try to get some good takeaways for investors. Of course, Facebook is a fool pick. So, it's pretty interesting to see kind of how they're responding. They've been responding. If you look at Facebook's involvement in health, they actually launched like a preventative health dashboard. I guess it was before the pandemic, so at least a year ago. And then they did a lot of this kind of organization and localized information when it came to voting registration. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And this COVID-19 vaccine, when and where can I get vaccinated, is kind of taking the different lessons that they've learned from these parts, and putting it in, the most urgent, high value thing that they can really be doing right now. But let's start high level. Nick, what do you think about Facebook doing this big drive for, education and organization around the vaccine?
Yeah, so I think there's a few ways to think about it. I think if you wanted to take like a cynical perspective, you would say Facebook needs some kind of positive PR, and this is kind of a really kind of a good way to do that. I think the perspective I have on it is more that this kind of speaks to Facebook's importance in the world. So we're living in a universe where, and I talked about it this morning on the morning show, uh, where I think the place people go first for news, like what's really driving the bus in the way we engage with one another, is the way we engage with people online. So I think people are going more to Facebook and Twitter as the first place to get their news, than maybe they would have gone to traditional media outlets. Folks are cutting the cord, what have you. So it just speaks to Facebook's importance, right? That just the way people are using these platforms. Another thing I think it's important to think about is Facebook is not a U.S. and Canada or U.S. and Europe only property. So Facebook globally has 1.84 billion daily active users as of December 2020. Only 195 million of those are in the U.S. and Canada. Actually saw a slight decline in the most recent quarter, but in the U.S. and Canada. But when you look globally, Facebook is incredibly relevant, even more relevant than it is in some of these other geographies. So I think it speaks to Facebook's importance just in the cultural fabric of how people interact with one another. There's not a lot of companies that we would care if they had some kind of a COVID dashboard. The fact that we're talking to them at all and that they're releasing these types of press releases, I think speaks to their role in the world. Their importance is, you mentioned this adds on to work that they've done in the political realm. I think it's just a testament to, I think Facebook is where people interact today. It's the town square, particularly in a world where you can't go to the town square because you're not supposed to because of a pandemic. So I think it just indicates Facebook's importance in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think there's a really interesting kind of dichotomy between actively pushing accurate information and what are we going to do with all the misinformation that's out there. That's something that Facebook has been in the news time and time again, rightly or wrongly. It's fair to say Twitter is also approaching misinformation on their platform. They are not having a dashboard like this where you can accurately find everything, but they are trying to hide misinformation and kind of penalize users that are putting out debunked claims about the vaccine. But this is it's good PR. I will definitely agree with that. Donating ad credits is and it seems smart to me. We'll talk a little bit about its advertising business. That is, the main part of its business.